And now that takes us to the city manager's report. Mr. City Manager.
No, sir. Don't have a report.
Great report. Thank you. And now to item 7, city code amendments. This is what I assume many people in the audience are here to hear our debate about tonight. These are the ordinances that have been discussed in various forms over the last several weeks.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I want to share with you some information, detailed information about some of the prohibited items that are on the extraordinary event ordinance to further explain why we felt it was important to include these as we move forward into the coming events this year. It could be anything from a bottle filled with rocks to a can of soda that has been shaken to an extent that if it's thrown, it strikes someone, the can would then explode. Aerosol containers, spray guns, and soaker devices are used to house urine and other noxious substances to spray folks that are in the crowd or spray police officers. Paint guns, etching material, spray paint containers, liquid paint or markers, anything that would be anything that's not water soluble could be used with a match to create some type of a flammable discharge device, basically a flamethrower. Backpacks, duffel bags, satchels, coolers, and other items such as this are frequently used to carry bricks and rocks. They're used to also used as striking objects against individuals. Pepper spray and mace and other types of those. Body armor such as shields and helmets, protective pads and gas masks. While some would argue that they carry those to protect themselves against the police, the simple fact is those masks are used as a offensive weapon. That equipment is used as an offensive weapon against police officers. Masks or scarves are currently prohibited in the city of Charlotte. We included this, as we have with everything else, to ensure that folks understand what it is that is allowed and not allowed. We're trying to prevent that kind of activity here in Charlotte in September.
And I've actually sat here and I've actually tried to figure out, which one is more important to me. Free speech, which I believe in wholeheartedly as an American, and safety. And in this situation, I'll be honest with you, I'm concerned about the safety. And for that reason, I do plan to support this.
Thank you. We've got a couple of speakers that are, I'm sorry, folks, but we're going to have to insist on folks being quiet. I did hear some concerns, some very pointed concerns about the impact on our homeless population. And I'd like to know the staff thinking on that subject. And also, I've also read a few comments about the process by which we would declare an extraordinary event and whether the trigger for that, city manager currently would have that ability. I'm going to give it to Ms. Fallon, and then Mr. Barnes, and then maybe at some point maybe Bob or Kurt, maybe y'all could weigh in. Claire.
Deputy Chief, I have a question, and that is the ordinances you have now and the rules and the laws on the books, you don't feel adequate to be able to handle what's to come?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Excuse me. And we realized pretty quickly that we were inadequate in our local ordinances to work with an event such as this.
So this is strengthening what you have and adding that you feel you need to be able to make safety for the public and the police.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to make a motion to approve A, B, and C. There are people who would, of course, like to see an environment where there are no rules, where there's no law, and people can do whatever they want to do. But we have all taken an oath to protect this city, the people of this city, and obviously we have an interest in protecting the property of this city and private owners in the city. So, Mr. Mayor, I'd make that motion, and I appreciate the second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Archer, yes,
I had a question about the officers being given the ability to determine intent. What are we going to be doing to provide training for officers on how to conduct themselves in these new ordinances?
Mr. Autry, we will do, particularly for this event, for the new ordinances, a substantial amount of training.
All right, Ms. Mayfield?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, this was a difficult decision, mainly because of the work that I had previously done in the community as a community advocate and upholding and believing in our rights to free speech. But I also recognize that there are rules and regulations and guidelines, and that as an elected official, we are entrusted to think of and to realize the big picture. So that is how to keep our officers protected. But I would like to ask if we have an opportunity to look at possibly, instead of just the city attorney being able to declare the event an extraordinary, the city manager, I apologize, the extraordinary event, to also possibly include either the mayor, or so that we have two voices coming to that table to determine what can be looking forward as far as what can be considered an extraordinary event.
Under our form of government, it is the city manager's job to provide direct instruction to our staff. So I'm reluctant to actually accept the amendment, Councilmember Mayfield, because I think it makes the extraordinary event piece more political than it should be. Right now, it is at least as proposed, up to an official who we hire to make that decision.
I think that's a no.
The long version.
Ms. Kinsey and then
Thank you.
Mr. Archer.
Well, I would agree with you, Councilmember Barnes. So I would suggest that maybe we go ahead with the motion that's on the floor, and that's what I would support.
Mr. Cooksey?
I can't put it better than that, so I don't have anything.
It does seem like that there should be some sort of balance between the public input from the council and the city manager together to come together and declare such as an extraordinary event.
Well, I was going to respond to him.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll respond to that. The manager's authority is basically delegated to him from the council.
Good evening. Should the need be, or should someone continue to be in violation, then quite naturally they would be arrested for that violation.
And we're talking specifically about the camping provision.
Right.
While it would prohibit camping, sleeping, activities consistent with that.
Mr. Archer.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to hear a little more detail about the lottery process. There's been a lot of confusion, I think, about what that means, and does that mean that some people will not have the opportunity to use the facility that's going to be set up for this speaking activity? Could we have some clarification on that, please?
So what we contemplate doing is setting a standing application deadline for any group that wants to parade during the DNC, and for any individual that wants to access the speaker's platform and the microphone. We will receive applications and then do a lottery process. Accessing the speaker's platform is the choice of those individuals who wish to access that, subject to being selected through the lottery.
Thank you. There's been a lot of conversation there. In fact, there were speakers who came and talked about the impact of this ordinance on the homeless population, and I think our Deputy Police Chief Medlock has some insight into that, so I'd like to invite you to I haven't heard the insight, but I'm.
It's very insightful.
Thank you, Mayor. The ordinances really have no effect on our homeless population. Anyone who has spent time in Charlotte and seen the work that CMPD does with our homeless population knows.
You took care of that. I wanted to make that amendment that, are we talking a review, or are we talking a sunset clause?
Review by the Public Safety Committee.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would put forth then that we entertain a friendly amendment to have a sunset of these ordinance on January 20th, 2013.
Mr. Autry, I thought about that, and after we adjusted the ordinances from the proposal we saw on January 20th, I feel comfortable that what we may pass tonight won't necessarily need to be sunset, because as Charlotte continues to grow, we may in fact need these ordinance changes on the books anyway.
With that, we've got a motion, several friendly amendments. All in favor, please raise your hand. Opposed? Thank you very much.
Shame on you. That's what you just support.
Ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a 5-minute recess. Thank you.